if you have any questions of either Jim or I, free to ask them.
You mentioned that drink in the 70s was that different drinks and stuff, that they're all neutral. That if you want to think of it as a steak when you're eating it, it'll taste like a steak.
Yeah.
And if you want to think of it as a cherry juice when you're drinking it, it'll taste like a cherry juice.
Well, this one I couldn't find a taste. Maybe I just wasn't expecting any. I don't know. But they do have food. One time I jokingly said, I think you should have pizza up here. You know, when humans come up, they need something that they know what it is. And by God, they got pizza, but they're not meat eaters. So they have a little round thing that looks kind of like pepperoni, and it tastes kind of like it, but it really isn't meat. So this ship that Eric has, it's 13 stories tall, and they have everything that they need on board for their complete survival. They grow their own food, they make their own clothing, they repair their ships, they have everything they need. So they can stay out forever, unless there's an accident and it needs major repairs. But it's usually the small ships that get into trouble, especially when a government shoots at them. So,
why do the Greys travel with them, or when they are so benevolent? You know.
Well, there are some Greys that are benevolent, you know, but there's two factions, just like we have humans that are, you know, good, and then we have some humans that are nasty. They have the same thing.
Oh,
I think
so the Greys had originally been perfection and have become what they are. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. They just said that there's two factions, and just like humans, there's good ones and there's bad ones,
Right.
and we should follow our instincts.
Oh,
And I think Bonnie had mentioned too the ship she saw him on that is kind of like a meeting ground. I think she'd said.
Yeah.
Where the good guys and the bad guys can even come together. They can't fight there, but they can come together and talk and so on.
oh, right. On that ship.
And I also saw
All
Jesus.
life as well.
I also saw Jesus on the ship, and that was a surprise.
Tell.
Bonnie, can you tell everyone here about the time that you saw Jesus on Good Friday?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was demonstrated food in stores, and I demonstrated other products too. But I happened to be in the Pick and Save store in our town, and I was demonstrating Grammy bears. And I was at the end of the aisle, and this person walked by, and boy, he just floated. I mean, he just floated. Hair about down to here, brownish blonde, and when he walked, it just bounced. I couldn't see his face, and he had on jeans, and it looked like boots, and he had on a long jean jacket that almost came down to the floor, and it just bellowed out behind him. Not a wrinkle in it. And I thought, and you know, the strange thing is, even the men, when he walked by, they'd follow him. You know, like there was something about this person that really was different. We walked by, and then he walked back again, and I thought, I've got to see his face. I really have got to see his face. So I decided I'm going to leave my stand, and you can't leave food out. So I have to put my food away. And I look up, and he's leaving the store. So I hurry up, and I finish up, and I walk real fast because I'm right across from the checkout counters, and I follow him as soon as I can. I get out the door, and he's gone. Absolutely gone. It was Good Friday between 1 and 3. And I was later informed that that was Jesus. He was on the earth, and he was checking out different places. And I'm thinking, my God, what is he doing in a Pick and Save store?
Which Pick and Save was this?
In Neenah. Mm-hmm. It's the old Pick and Save store. They've moved to a newer one now. But it was just amazing to see so many people, even the men, they were pulled to look at him. I never did see his face, but I guess I'm not supposed to know what it is or remember it here. But I did meet him on the ship then also after that.
what did they say? He made 3 stops at
Yeah.
here, Pennsylvania, and one other one they wouldn't tell us where it was, but a pastor in Pennsylvania was. That was really interesting to me.
In what context was the deity discussed? And why would it be even to their advantage to bring the subject up in order to communicate to you what they want to?
Well, because that's their thing. They're here for us to raise spiritually.
That's the purpose of being here? To convert us to the spiritualism?
Not necessarily religion, but to become more spiritual people so that we can go back to God.
So they brought the subject up and you didn't?
They brought the subject up. And I'm thinking to myself, haven't I had enough trouble trying to get UFOs ideas across? Now they throw God and Jesus into the mix?
Did they talk about any other kind of people, like Mohammed or?
Yes.
They did.
Yes.
Did
Yes.
They, okay. So they
He
talked
said-
about, and did they talk about them in an example of great teachers or godlike
Teachers.
teachers?
Just
They're all teachers.
They all are teachers, and there's many more people on the planet now that are teachers. They just haven't stepped forward yet.
Okay, so people that have different, might have these kind of groups that follow them around could be possibly linked to Jesus and
It's-
Muhammad and all these other kind of teachers.
It's very possible. But we do find that most of the people in the UFO field don't want to talk about God or Jesus, and the people in the churches don't want to talk about UFOs. So,
I think you might be getting toward the topic too. People ask me a lot because I had the biblical end. Well, do they say Jesus was just a good guy and nothing special? And I've gotten just the opposite. They said he's a special creation. He's like religion teaches the Son of God. That's what I found was interesting was when I started talking to these guys and started actually having contact with them. They were saying a lot of the same things I was learning in church.
Mm-hmm.
And the things coming from the aliens are the same thing. So what do you guys think of the Bible? And the one alien I talked to most, it's the most precious book on earth. And a lot of things I learned in church, she pretty much says, yeah, that's the way it is, but people need to take it more seriously and live it and do it, and not just say, oh, okay, I believe in God there, and I'm going to go and do things like I have been. Because if they don't do it, it doesn't do them any good. And she talks about that a lot. Like they mention the soul vibration and so on like that. I think a lot of the things Jesus taught in the Sermon on the Mount, that's what it was designed to do is to raise our spiritual vibration, or whatever you would call it, our spiritual nature, to get us clean us up.
Yeah.
I mean, they have even discussed about alcohol and drugs and what it does to your body, and that you shouldn't be doing it. And if you want to be a spiritual person, you want to stay away from that stuff because it opens you up to negativity. And if negativity comes around you, your chances of falling are greater.
Are they related to us?
Well, which us? Most of those that I have seen walk on 2 legs, 1 body, 1 head, arms and legs. I have seen some that walk on all 4s, but that's in a minority. And yes, some of us are descendants of aliens. And the next book that I'm going to be doing will get more into that.
So they all have an anthropomorphic body plan.
Well, and at one time they said, you talk about aliens being out in space, but most of the souls that are here now on the planet at this time chose to be here from someplace else because this planet can take a big leap in its spirituality, and a lot of people volunteered to be here at this time to experience that.
If we wanted to enhance our spirituality, why are they so secretive?
Because if they give it to us, we get no brownie points for it. We have to do it ourselves. They'll hint it, they'll you know, they've been meeting with a lot of people, and it's, like I said, they wanted me to write this for a long time, and I just didn't feel it was the time.
Why do you suppose they chose you? They haven't chosen me, for example. You know, what's the difference?
Well, I learned that I come from this planet, Zurich. This was my original planet, and the one that I have contact with the most, she's also from that planet. So that is how it was more easily for us to get together and understand each other.
So the other question that I have is, there are consequences if we're bad.
Oh,
There
yes.
are consequences if we don't do right. Okay, so someone's saying that there is basically good versus evil.
And there is a big battle going on right now. I think if you read the paper, you look at the news, you can see it. It's escalating. And it's a decision each one as an individual has to make, where you're going to go with it. They're not going to come and thump on your door and say, be good or we're going to do something to you. Because it's our decisions. God gave us free will, and we have to make that decision for ourselves. I mean, I didn't realize this was all going to happen until, you know, it was many different experiences that brought it all to my forefront. And through the years, I have met many people who all of a sudden realize that they are here for a job. They are here for a mission. That's not just procreating and get as much money as you can and have the nicest house and the best car in the block.
You mentioned that a lot of the communication, you know, that you've had goes on with telepathy. Is there a possibility that all of these visits and these sightings are things that are happening in your mind rather than in reality?
Well, it took me a while to realize that they actually come and get me and I leave physically. One morning I woke up and, gee, my bed is ice cold. Oh, I wasn't here all night. Sometimes you wake up and your bed is warm. My bed was ice cold, like I was never in it all night. And that's when I realized that, hey, they do come and I go physically. But they also do talk through me sometimes.
Now you haven't had that kind of experience where you've been taken aboard a ship, or volunteered to go aboard a ship.
Yes, I have.
You have?
But I don't use it as basic evidence or that, because was it just a dream? Was it just a vision? Did I actually go? I believe I did, but I wouldn't expect anybody else to believe that. I think Bonnie's a little bit bolder in asserting that, because I think she is right. If I was looking at it from the outside, I'd be like, you're just nuts, and you must have had a bad dream or something.
How do you prove that?
It's hard to communicate it as real, I guess. So, which I get back to, I mean, you mentioned, like, why are you chosen or so on. I've met more people, I think, that have felt that they had a mission, got really into it. Next time you see them, they won't mention UFOs, and they never talk about it the rest of their life. Because people will, criticize them. They, getting up and doing something like this, and they just forget about it, and they give the whole thing up. I've met the majority of people that have had alien contact. That's what they end up doing. So I don't. Maybe it's not a matter of being chosen. It's just a matter of being crazy enough to speak about it. But yeah, I've had some of the same experiences.
Wouldn't there be any kind of concrete evidence that you could bring back to show us that, this gets back to this question of the secretiveness of the whole business. I mean, it is such an unclear and secret kind of thing where, and it just strikes me that if their goal is good, for the most part, why not use this power and this, this tremendous technology or whatever you're seeing
That would
to further
change the course of our planet.
Right.
What would be the problem
And
with
they,
that?
they have a law of non-interference. They can talk, they can cajole, they can suggest. but there is a law that they can't step in. Now, that's where a lot of the Greys that are abducting, they're breaking this law because they are coming and they're taking people and doing experiments on them. And because of that, we wrote a pamphlet on how to refuse abductions. Because people say, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Yes, you have a mind, you have the power of God in you. All you have to do is use it, refuse it. So we decided to write a pamphlet about how to refuse it, and hopefully it's working on some people.
Are not humans the only type of life that has free will? No. I mean, we all have free will, and it's the way, and I'm considering them as human beings as well, because they have the ability to do good or
bad,
evil.
yeah.
Right.
Right. Well,
So it's a matter of a superior choice, don't you think?
right. I had a friend that described the Battle of Armageddon not necessarily being a big war, but it's a battle that goes on inside each one of us.
Exactly.
And I thought, whoa, that is really interesting. I never thought of that before. But they have explained that other planets have gone through the same type of thing that we have. And these people go from place to place that needs help. But I guess we're just awfully slow
Did they give you
learners.
any insights about the changes that are taking place in the world now? About especially how the Earth is changing?
Well, yeah, it's changing a lot, and I guess the problem is our free will.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to us what we're going to do. And there might come a time when they will come down in mass, but the negative aliens will probably come down at the same time. So better hone your instincts so you know who you're going to go with. You don't want to go with the negative ones because you may wind up being the slave or lunch. And nobody wants that.
When was the last time you talked to them? I mean, how recent have you, with the book and all that? I'm just saying, how recently?
Oh, this summer.
Okay, so is that included in your book?
No.
So that might be the next one.
Yeah, and a lot of the things we kept out of it were about the government and how they're involved with the aliens, and that's going
In
to be
Area 51?
well, not specifically Area 51, but in here.
So
that-
they are actually in cahoots with some of the government.
But some of the underground bases and who's on them and what they're doing.
Or they're working
Almost
together with
all the governments. There's this.
I
There's
guess
there's
it
the
sounds
government.
like the X-Files to me.
There's the government that we see, and then there's kind of a secret government that is pulling the strings.
Well, Bonnie, maybe you need to clarify who's working with the government, because these guys are not working with the
No,
government.
but other aliens are.
Yeah, because
well, I know that.
they've
but I'm
asked-
just saying
they've asked them
There are a lot of
if they-
aliens, and our government's working with the other aliens.
Right.
The Greys?
Greys and reptilians
I mean,
are two that I know for sure.
Could
Why
you
did our
explain
government?
this?
Why did our
What's this
government
about?
buy the Greys and not these guys? What they say?
Because the Greys offered them technology,
what,
and they
This
that
is
they
the
could
X-Files.
actually abduct the people and experiment on them. I mean, that's
That's the X-Files.
yeah.
but according, William Cooper, he wrote a lot of this kind of thing, and what his premise was that the bad guys came down, contacted the government, and said, "Hey, we can give you some cool toys if you give us some people."
Yeah, I gotcha.
And then the good guys said, "Hey," the good guys came down and said, "Hey, wait a minute, these guys are don't trust them." You know, the good guys made contact too, and said, "Well, we'll maintain contact with you, but you got to do certain things." One of them was nuclear disarmament, basically stop all the screwed up things you're doing. And the government said, "No,
No, we don't
forget
want
that.
that."
We're going to go with the bad guys." And ever
Yeah.
since
The
then.
government doesn't want to
Like
go
you
for
said,
nuclear
the
disarmament.
crash in Roswell, physical evidence that Jim was talking about earlier, that if somebody has it, the government takes it away, the aliens don't.